after the weekend for Alabama because Dre Kirkpatrick Jr. Suspended indefinitely one of their cornerbacks. He's one of the franchise players. I will date myself here, and I feel ridiculously old as I say this. I covered his dad. He's
one
of my very, very first years covering sports. Dre Kirkpatrick was a senior or was a junior or senior at Gadsden City High School. He had already had a child. So he was a young father at the time there too. So he already had Dre Jr. And now he's suspended indefinitely. This might be, and I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, this might be one of the first incidents all season long for Alabama off the field.
I think so too. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think his dad had a little bit of trouble early on in his Alabama career too.
Yeah.
And obviously he turned out to be just fine. So maybe definitely just a learning moment. And I think in situations like these, I go back to the old Nick Saban speech about, hey, why didn't you kick this guy off the team? And he was like, well, would you rather him just be on the street, and like causing more problems? Or are we going to, be like, hey, this isn't good. We don't want you to do this, but we want you to learn.
Right.
And people make mistakes. It's just how you learn from them. So
exactly. Yeah.
I wonder if that's kind of like the
thought process with Kalen DeBoer. Nick Saban back in the day brought up Musa Muhammad, who was like, "Hey, everybody wanted him off the team."
Yes, that's the one that I was thinking
right.
of.
Yeah. And then Musa obviously took a second chance and ended up going to the NFL. And his daughter, I think, went to Princeton or one of the Ivy League schools, and he now owns a couple of businesses. So there are these great turnaround stories, and you hope that this is another one of those for Alabama going into this game. You mentioned Alabama stumbling down the stretch, so to speak. Against South Carolina. South Carolina was a team that was fighting hard, but it felt like Alabama was they had played 4 teams that were all ranked first team in the SEC to ever beat 4 teams that are ranked back to back to back to back. But they did exactly what they needed to do to come away with the win, and that to me is a trait in and of itself.
I mean, good teams find a way to win no matter what. It doesn't have to be pretty every game. I know there's been a few national championship games. I mean, I go back to obviously Ohio State last year. There were a couple of games. They definitely didn't play good against Michigan. They rattle off 4 to go on to win the national championship. Still blows my mind that they just were able to flip it like that, because you look at what Ryan Day was getting after that game. People wanted him gone. There were talks that Brian Hartline was going to be the new head coach. And but good teams do just find a way to win. And I feel like this Alabama team, I mean, they've been in these close games against these good teams, but they're always on the right side of it, not the wrong.
Yeah, and there is a certain thing when it comes to going through adversity and being able to pull away there at the end, where I think that Coach DeBoer has a lot of faith and trust not only in his coaching staff but in the players in themselves to be able to get it done. And Coach DeBoer met with the media for the first time this past week, talking about their preparation for the Bayou Bengals.
Yeah, I think it just really goes into having a great staff that puts a great game plan together, gets it dialed in a timely manner, when you have players that go make plays and they can get those extra practices in on a great game plan and go execute, that's really what matters. It's really what it comes down to. And so, I expect the same thing with our staff. They've done a great job, really focused and have the routine down, the timeline of when we want to install certain things, having practices that are fresh, and guys excited to be out there on the football field, continue to get better. So, yesterday, like I said, was a great practice. It wasn't long, but it was just, a dialed-in Sunday practice, and, looking forward to getting on the field tomorrow, Tuesday, and I think.
So everybody now is looking forward to Alabama tonight and what's in store for these guys as they now project forward. The immediate future, though, is where they will rank in the college football playoff ranking. And this is really interesting to me because I don't see anything lower than 4, obviously. I think it might mirror, their seeding tonight might mirror what we see in the AP poll.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think I said this yesterday, that Bama and A&M are both going to get first-round byes.
Yes.
But in order for that to happen, they have to win out. And honestly, I mean, you look at the schedule, you've got LSU. You welcome in Oklahoma, that's going to be a toughie. Then you welcome in Eastern Illinois, and even though Auburn's down this year, the Iron Bowl, we've seen some crazy things happen at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Saban always says it's haunted. They have to win out, though.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you lose the Oklahoma game, I feel like you've got to be nervous.
Right. Because I feel like if you are Alabama in that Oklahoma game, because we just saw Oklahoma, go to Tennessee, get a win there in Knoxville. I think you have to be shaking your boots a little bit if you are Alabama with that matchup. And can this also be a game where Alabama looks ahead a little bit because of what's happened with LSU this season and looking ahead to Oklahoma? It's natural if they do so and they start out slow. It would be natural. But I am interested to see, how this team we've seen how this team responds after getting hit in the mouth in the first quarter. I wonder how this team responds after a few days to take in the college football landscape. And I feel like after the Florida State loss, they were in something to prove mode the whole time. They had the bye week and they were like something to prove. Now everybody's singing your praises 6 weeks later, and you're a top 5 team in the country. This is a different kind of reactionary stuff and what Nick Saban used to call rat poison.
It's funny you bring up Nick Saban because I feel like this would be the point of the year where he gives his importance of nothing speech.
Yeah, right.
Because I don't know what Kalen DeBoer is doing inside the locker room right now, but I feel like that would be a really good time because you cannot rest on your laurels now. Yeah, you just rattled off an SEC record, 4 straight wins over ranked opponents. But if you don't close it out against LSU, Oklahoma, and Auburn, it'll be for nothing.
Right.
But at the same time, this season reminds me of Saban's last season. Where, it's not technically the same because they did win the opener, but they lost the game to Texas. And then this year they lose the game to Florida State.
Right.
Then they go on to win 11 straight, I think. It was 11 straight.
Yeah,
and then you lose to Michigan.
Michigan in the semifinals. Yep. They're in the Rose Bowl. It will be interesting for Alabama. I do think that they'll bounce back. I don't know if I'll lay the 10.5. It seems like a lot of points. It's a lot of points there. So don't know if I'll lay it, but I like them still on the money line.